Again, snacks. So like, work on it. I am so excited, you guys. We are wrapping up. So today, what we're going to cover is Meixin is going to tell us all about actually what like the big plan is when you get out there, which is really nice, and get a little bit of history of tree planting in Durham, of kind of the whole kit and caboodle. And then we'll transition into a little bit of how do you lead volunteers, just some tips and tricks for doing that with a little bit of a review of what we've covered. And then we have your very fancy home laminated cards. So exciting. So please do sign the sign-in sheet as it's going around. That's our very official attendance roster. So just make sure if you haven't signed that by the time we start giving out cards, go ahead and sign it, because otherwise I won't know you're here and I won't holler your name for a card. So with that, Meixin, I'm just going to let you take it away.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Okay, well, great. I mean, I feel like I've introduced myself to you guys like 3 times now. But again, I'm Meixin. I'm with Keep Durham Beautiful. I'm the urban industry communications, community engagement person. So first I'll just tell you guys a little bit about the Keep Durham Beautiful as an organization, which I'm sure many of you probably already know a lot about it. What's involved with tree keepers after you graduate with your laminated cards today, and also the city programming around urban forestry in the next few years and how you can get involved with that. So first off, Keep Durham Beautiful. So we're a nonprofit in Durham that's been around for 21 years, and we work really closely with the city and the county, and we believe in giving a clean, green, beautiful space to live in to everyone. And that includes making an outdoors place that's healthy to be in terms of your environmental quality, resilient, socially just, all the things. And so we want to help promote all of that. And there's a lot of different ways through which KDB does that, and that can be through litter prevention programs. Right now the big sweep is going on, so there's a lot of cleanups all over Durham that people, like residents, are initiating on their own, and Keep Durham Beautiful continues to supply the tools for and help organize and get the word out on those. And that's led by Dawn, who's back there, who I forgot to let herself introduce herself, but yep. Let's see, and then there's also other areas of community greening, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and volunteer outreach and engagement, of course, but a lot of it is through volunteer action and also public and private partnerships with the city, with other nonprofit organizations, with schools, like basically anyone who has an interest in doing something about it. And Keep Durham Beautiful wants to make sure that everyone has the power to make whatever improvement they want to see, so they can become like environmental steward, a community steward, and just get more connected to other people who want to do the same thing and to the tools and knowledge that they would need as well. So this is a quick summary of last year's statistics. So this is from our 2024 annual report. But over the course of the year, people get a lot done. And so about almost 5,000 volunteers, almost 10,000 hours put in across all those different programs, 738 trees given away and planted to expand the canopy, 60,000 pounds of litter, which is crazy, removed from the streets, waterways, and parks, including a lot of tires. So yeah, that's really helpful. Like it's all because of the people who come in and make that happen, because we're a staff of now 3, but it used to be Dawn and Tanya for a long time, and so it would be impossible to do all that without everyone's help. And this is a link to the annual report. They go back at least 4 or 5 years on our website if you ever want to look back and see what we've been up to. So yeah, lots of text, but basically just to give you a snippet of what all the different programs are under those 3 umbrellas. So litter prevention is a big one, and there's different times of year during which we really push a lot of the events, like the Big Sweep right now, Creek Week in March, Earth Month, and everyone is always welcome to go and do individual or group volunteering, and that's where the tool the tool library comes in, and we just lend those out to whoever needs it, because who's gonna have like 12 trash picker-upper little things at their house? Then there's community greening, and that includes the urban forestry part of it. I'll talk more about the city's programming and the giveaways that we're planning. But in addition to that, there's a whole network of community gardens, and that's something, there's like a listserv, a group of people who know each other and can ask each other for help, tips, tools as well. There's ongoing monthly invasive species removal events that are led by some really awesome volunteers who are really in it for the long haul, including Julie. And yeah, citizen science events throughout the year as well. And throughout all of that, for anybody, there are ways to become involved with the organizations or other people behind it. And so there's a garden tour every year, there's a litter leaders program, as well as a tree keepers, which is like basically the counterpart for litter prevention, and some other groups. And so that ties into, you know, the tree keepers as part of the community greening. And why would you want to be a tree keeper? So a lot of the things probably applies to you guys. You care about the environment, you care about people, you want to make something happen to help those things. You get to foster community, make new friends, meet people, especially at like different things like the Native Plants Forum or other events that are organized through other organizations. And you might also need service hours for school. It looks great on a resume. And also volunteering is just good for you. It's, you know, it's great to be out there and like do some of the things. And when we went outside last time for, you know, walking around the neighborhood, doing some pruning, you got to see more of Durham, I hope. Talk a little bit with the people you're doing stuff with and see, you know, rather than just pass by the plants around you. So generally, tree keepers, the opportunities that are available include a lot of guiding people at tree planting or care events. And so often we have groups of people who are interested in doing a planting event, but they don't have the trees, they don't have like, sometimes they have the volunteers, and they may or may not have the land to do it on. So we try to connect the groups of people who may have the volunteers to the people who may have the land, and then like Keep Durham Beautiful can help supply the trees and the tools to do that. And during those events, we need people who are more experienced and have done this kind of thing before. So that's where tree keepers can come and be kind of those like anchors, I guess, in an event, because again, there's only so many of us, and we can't always make every event either. And so it's a really great help to have, you know, if you're leading a group of 6th graders, for them to have someone with them who can tell them what to do next. They also care for trees on their own time. So there is a lovely map of all the city trees that have been planted in the last maybe like 4 or 5 years. And so you can go and also just walk around without looking at the map. But like basically, if you see a tree that needs pruning, you can always go and do that, like we were doing last class. We have a lot of events at which we table and just provide community education or outreach. Or perhaps people ask us to go and talk about a particular thing. And so as people who have learned a little bit more about trees than your average person, and also are just excited to talk about it, I assume, that would be great to have more people be able to represent Keep Durham Beautiful and the tree planting that's going on in the city in general, and be able to tell others about it and why it's important. And yeah, of course, guide future tree keepers, teach them the skills, and we aim to have more events where we can get to know each other as well, like, you know, within this class, but also like the previous classes of tree keepers, hopefully, and just other volunteers who are with Keep Durham Beautiful and maybe haven't been through this specific training, but are really interested in the same things. Okay, so in general, we send out a monthly email that will tell you, you know, like what are this month's opportunities to volunteer or get engaged in some way. We also have a very updated list of all our events on our website, and I can send you the PowerPoint or the slide after this with all the links and stuff in it. But yeah, there's always stuff going on, and it often stretches out for like the next month or two. So you can tell when there will be a tree planting or other things. And then we will be trying to organize more trainings and workshops, and hopefully on a monthly cadence, but yeah, I think that there's always some kind of volunteer event going on, but there isn't always something where people can come together and chill out and talk amongst each other and just like make some friends. So we'll be trying to do some of that as well. Yeah, so these are some past events. This is from a tree giveaway. So every year we try to do 1 or 2 large tree giveaways where anybody can just sign up to receive one. And it could be like an individual person who wants to plant in their yard, an organization, maybe a nonprofit who has like an office that they want to plant it around, a church, like all those potential things. And you would just sign up for the specific species that we have. There'll be a subset that we'll send out on a reserve your tree form. And then they can come, we'll set up somewhere, and then everyone comes and grabs their tree. And so this year we're trying to do something that's more neighborhood specific and just like hyper local. So trying to gather interest and see where there is a lot of interest, and we can go and host specific events in those areas and make it easier for people to come to us, and bring it back, this nice like 3-gallon tree back to their house or wherever it is. And yeah, it's part of the effort to the city's doing their part to plant trees, maintain them, and then there's also a lot of private land split up among many types of landowners, and just trying to increase the canopy everywhere. On the right is Clay. He owns Panther Creek Forest Farm, which is a community, how would you describe it? Like a tree farm, I guess. And he has a lot of energy and enthusiasm to basically collect seeds, plant trees, grow them into seedlings, pass them out as free trees, and yeah, just like be able to help out. And so he, for that reason, needs also help to make these trees happen and to take care of them and eventually to distribute them. So I think that's a work day, and one will be coming up soon, which I'll talk about upcoming events in a little bit as well.
Is that where y'all get most of your trees that you give away?
Actually, we order them from a nursery that has several sizes that are, I don't actually know how large Clay's trees are.
They're usually
Like one, yeah,
seedlings.
like 1 gallon
Small, yeah.
ish, yeah. Okay, yeah, so we do give away a lot of those, but then we also make a big order from a native nursery, and those can go from like 3 gallon to, they also have like 7 gallon that we got a few of this year. So those will be more things that are more of the giveaway trees at those events. This is from last month. So this was a pruning workshop that we did with the Urban Forestry Department or Division. In the middle, holding all those saws, is Alex. He's the guy over there who leads everything, and the landscaping team. And so he was teaching people how to, very similar to what you guys were learning in the last class, how a tree grows, when, why, where to prune it, how to use the different tools that are available. And so, these kind of trainings will be available throughout the year as well. So if you can't make this yearly thing, it's not the end of the world. And then we had them go out, and this was in Forest Hills Park. They went and pruned a lot of trees, and there was a lot of really large branches. So there were kind of like almost 2 truckloads of like just tree debris, which was kind of awesome and hard to carry. Okay.
Where does it go?
Huh?
Where does it go?
We put it in, so there's like this big mulch yard near the office where like both Keep Durham Beautiful and the Urban Forestry Division are, and so it goes from giant logs to like smaller branches to mulch, and it's all just over there. Cool. So this is, this year is the first year in a series of plantings that the city will be doing. They always plant every year throughout Durham, but there will be an especially focused effort of tree planting. There's also going to be a canopy assessment and a full tree inventory of trees in the city rights of way. So this is, organized by Craig, who is also over there, and in general, the Urban Forestry Division. So they have they're planting and also planting that will be contracted out. Because, honestly, the team is kind of small for being able to take care of all of Durham and like doing it everywhere that needs to be done, and trees are always growing or changing or being affected by storms and weather. But yeah, they generally provide great quality of life for the residents through caring for the trees and maintaining them. And I talked a little bit about Keep Durham Beautiful already. So over the next 3 years, there will be 8,500 trees planted. And we're creating a map for the public to show exactly where the planting sites are. But in general, they will sweep from like the southern half of Durham this fall, then the northern bit, then the middle bit. And so that will be something we really want to tell people about, to make sure they're aware, that they're not surprised when people come near their property and start planting a tree, and maybe they'll have heavy equipment with them, or just be new faces in the neighborhood. And that's a big part of what Keep Durham Beautiful is helping with, is like using those community contacts to make sure people understand what's happening and also why it's important that this planting is going on. And in addition to that, I guess, the red is kind of hard to see here. We're giving away those 500 free trees and trying to figure out, where are the hot spots and neighborhoods that we can go to distribute those. So I think this is preaching to the choir, but there's lots of benefits to street trees. And even without focusing on, climate change or things that maybe not everyone agrees on, we can definitely say and quantify like how many degrees trees can lower the temperatures in a neighborhood, the amount of pollutants that they can filter out of the air and the water, and helping us control flooding. Also studies on just how much better your physical and mental health can be when you're in an area that's more green than one that isn't. And of course, it'll provide wildlife habitat and give you energy savings in the summertime. And so those are some key points that we try to communicate to your average Durham resident who may or may not know this information, who it might change the way that they view trees. So the procedure that the city is going through to do the planting as a whole every year is, one, there's a whole set of identified planting sites. So we've gone out to verify the site conditions, which includes, is it under a utility line? Is there a sidewalk? How wide is the space between the sidewalk and the street, if there is a sidewalk? So basically, how much space is there? Is there anything where we don't want to, like an existing garden that a resident has put up, and we don't want to like say, okay, this will be a planting site and it's going to shade out that whole garden. That would really suck and not make really a good relationship between the city and that person. So those have been verified for this fall. Then the contractor will call a service where they can verify if there are utility lines running through it, to make sure that when it gets planted and as it grows, it won't disturb any service that people rely on. Then they'll go ahead and plant them and then maintain them throughout the year. So for the first year, the contractors are going to be doing things like staking them, mulching them, watering them, making sure they're going to establish well. And then after that, for city trees, the Urban Forestry Division will be taking care of that stuff. And as a tree keeper, this is my nice little badge from last year. You'll, really important parts that you guys can help out with will be 3 and 4. Not necessarily like the parts that the contractor is going to plant, but the parts where the volunteers are more involved and engaged with community institutions, faith-based organizations, individual residents who want help planting. And then being able to go out into the city and provide some help to the team at the city, and be able to prune wherever you see, call out if you think a tree needs mulch or water, and those are processes that we're working on putting in place too, so that can be a smoother communication between the city, Keep Durham Beautiful, and volunteers. So some upcoming things, in 2 weeks, same time, is this? No, it's not the same time. Okay, but in the afternoon, we'll be doing a similar thing to last time. We'll be walking around with the group and looking at trees in a particular neighborhood that needs some pruning and care. We'll try to bring some mulch, bring some tools, and we'll have previous volunteers who will return to help out with that, and hopefully you guys can come too. We tried to make this, I think it's, I'm like weirding out because I feel like we set it for 3 to 5 p.m. and then, anyway. So we were trying to make it at the same time as this so that it's easy for people who can attend this class to make it to that event. So I'll double check on that. I'll get back to you guys.
I think we maybe moved it up because we were like, well,
Yeah.
maybe people could be involved too.
Yeah.
I feel like I remember that. Or
Okay.
I kind of remember me
Maybe I'm just
saying like, or it's earlier and I don't have to stay
Yeah.
later than normal.
Yeah. No, that's fair too because
I've
we
never said that. I think.
never.
Is that meeting here?
We'll have to figure out a neighborhood where we can meet, and we'll identify like a good meeting point. That's pretty obvious if you're passing by. But yeah, we'll check out which particular block or neighborhood could use some of that care. And then some other events coming up. So there's a tree planting with Scale and Coin. That's going to be the 26th. And they're a business fraternity, so there are 2 chapters, one at Duke and one at UNC, and I'm sure others, but they're gonna come together to do some tree planting at Crest Street Park, which is like northwest-ish in Durham. And so that will be a larger group of college students who could use some help and guidance on planting trees. And then the Big Dig at Panther Creek, that's the picture where Clay and someone else were at the work day. So this will be a time where it's like a yearly thing, and it's just a big push to do a lot of things like potting up 1-year-old seedlings, building air pruning boxes, and making room for potting material, and mixing compost and planting chips, and just like basically doing all the operational things that make it possible. Yeah.
Can I did a full day CFSA workshop at
Mhm.
Panther Creek Forest
Oh, nice.
Farm. So if you're like wanna ask Clay or his daughter about keyline, like there's other kinds of forestry management that they're doing there.
Okay.
So if you're interested in like agroforestry on a big scale and keyline planting, that's a great place to go.
Nice. Yeah, maybe you can ask them to tell us more as like a group too. That sounds pretty interesting. Cool, thanks. Let's see. Yeah, so those are just a few events in the next month or so. There will be more, so please watch out for that. And for those who want to go around on their own and really tackle that tree that's, whose suckers have been bothering you for ages, this is the map I was referring to. It goes to the City of Durham's GIS open data platform. So you can click on, like these are all trees, like those dots, and then you can click on it and it'll have a pop-up and it'll tell you the species, the size, when it was planted, things like that. And this is both interesting and also just like, could be practical if you want to check on, oh, I really care about ginkgos for some reason, so I want to go prune those. Yeah, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was actually looking at this on
Oh,
the
nice.
walk-in. If it just says planting site, I was looking on my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Is this somewhere they're planning on putting it?
Yeah, if it says planting site, like
Yeah.
when you click on it.
Yeah.
So there are ones that are trees existing, and then existing trees, and then there are some that are planting sites for the next few years, and those are both in there because we're going to keep track of them all. Yeah, we'll be updating those as well once they do get planted. Yeah.
So for that, is there like, if there are trees nearby and we're like, okay, I'm gonna take care of them, or try to anyway, are we supposed to like submit an email saying I did this thing for these trees, or if it's something like a tree fell over, you're like, well, I don't have the ability to get like a metal stake to
Yeah.
set it up, is that something
Yeah.
you just email about, or?
Yeah, so the first thing, I think I need to ask Dawn, But I feel like people do just tell us directly when they do some work and then like what kind of work it was in this case.
Yeah, usually people will just send an email, but I think that's maybe something that you guys are working on.
Yeah, I would say if it's anything beyond just like a little branch or a sucker or something like that, it'll never hurt to reach out. Also say be careful because in areas where there isn't a sidewalk and it like seems like it's a street tree and maybe it's someone's tree that they've like been weirdly pruning for their own entertainment for a while, like just be careful, and that's just me probably being paranoid, but we get a lot of interesting requests, but especially if it's like stakes and things like that, you want, you know, you can go on our website, you can get a hold of me or someone else really easily, and you know, we're more than happy to, you know, bring stakes out, do it collaboratively, do it for you, help out in any way, but we are working on a better platform that will allow you to actually kind of put in a request, track all the stuff, because, you know, we have trees that have been in the system, say like the last 20 years, and being able to say like, has tree X had any inputs versus tree Y, and even, you know, we're trying to track what were they planted in, what time of year were they planted, like a specific cultivar, so we're just trying to get a lot of data. So I'm just always gonna lean on the side of like, more info the better, but that being said, I don't want like, that kind of, you know, be too bureaucratic, and then people are like, oh, I don't wanna bother with, like, if it's something you think you can help the health of a tree, you can just have pruners or a saw, like feel empowered, but again, just look out if someone like peeking through the blind and they look really protective.
Yeah, we
I
do
see some
have,
experience there too.
yeah, we do have vests that say tree keepers and Keep Durham Beautiful. If that'll help you feel more, like I think it'll help me feel more visible and also
Yeah,
like,
like-
hey, I'm here in some
Feel official.
capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel official, maybe the people peeking out their windows won't, like,
Yeah.
come outside and ask me what I'm doing in a mean way.
Right, yeah, or they'll think you're on their land even though it's technically not, you know, that boundary yet. But something that we could also do is like create events where we are like tree keepers pair up, and then, you know, you kind of like feel a little bit more comfortable and confident having someone next to you that you sort of you're doing the same thing with, and you know. But yeah, so there is that. There's also, you can just go do the thing, email info at Keep Durham Beautiful or myself. My contact info is at the end of this. And we'll track it as well, because we do track like volunteer hours for everyone. And then, yeah, if it's a larger thing, like we could always do like the more organic way of like, hey, I heard your name is Mel, right?
Mhm.
Well, like Mel said, that tree needed to be staked, and actually we could take a look at that entire block, in fact, and then we could all like figure it out. Or if it's something more hands off, like you just want to pass it to the city and it's like a big project, 311 is always a good option to just submit a request for whatever it might be.
You know, Durham won't cost it, yeah, also don't try to be too adventurous, like if it's something really big, like I would just, for your own benefit, probably avoid like trying to go out and bring a chainsaw or something like that. I don't
Yeah,
think
definitely
it would
don't do
go
that.
well. Or like even just, you know, like pruning large branches, just be careful. I think the point of, you know, having two people at a time is always just a good practice.
Yeah, Sarah?
I just want to make sure I understand this. I thought I understood it last week, but because you have it pulled up, there's a persimmon tree between my driveway and my neighbor's driveway that they planted. It's also on this map.
Mm-hmm.
So my understanding is that these trees are either planted by the city or on city property. And therefore, we have the, like, they think
Yeah.
it's their tree. Nobody owns a tree, but they think it's their tree. So I just, like, to this point about like approaching a tree and being like, oh, this needs a prune.
Yeah.
Is that true, that if it's on this map, even if the homeowner has planted it, it is on city property?
I believe so. Like, I
It's the
don't.
city's tree, but I'm not
Yeah.
gonna try to argue with that. I mean, you're welcome to, but I think the path of least resistance, you know,
Yeah.
takes precedent. I mean, I don't want to tell you a story of a privet tree in a mailbox, but it's been going on for 3 months right now in the city. I'm not at liberty to say more than that, but, yeah, I mean, the easy thing is all the things that we have in there, it's gonna be city property.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm gonna go be like,
No,
I am
I
putting
didn't-
your tree, I just wanna understand the
Yeah.
legal.
And at the UDO, has changed as well, like where it used to be requirements for this, for, you know, if you're going to a house or developing, you plant this, and now that's developing, and just in case you got used to it, that's gonna be changed again next year. So, there's certain trees, for instance, that were like required, that were people's yards, that kind of what it used to be, but now you actually have to have them in the right of way. But, yeah, I mean, people can also put in a request if you wanted to have a tree planted like in your right of way in front of your house, and you didn't want to wait for us to do it, or you just really want to do it, you can send a note, and I'll give you a form, and I say go for it, and like you can plant anything. So like sometimes someone wants to plant something like wacky, and we approve it, like that's why you might see something different. I like persimmons personally, but maybe someone doesn't. It's a good question though.
And the reverse isn't exactly true. Oh, so there will be trees that are out there that are older or before, like, so this would capture trees that were planted in the last like 4 or 5 years. But trees that are planted before that by the city or not will not be in here, just because that's when they started tracking this kind of thing. So another thing to be aware of. Oh yeah, and then if you did want to do this, this is just a waiver, general waiver for anybody who goes out on their own, so you don't have to stop by our office first or do anything, if you are interested in doing this kind of tree care on your own. Otherwise, at our events, we'll always have waivers for people to sign. So yeah, if you're interested, feel free to sign it. If not, all good.
So an annual signature?
Sorry?
Is that an annual signature or?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we will figure that out right now. Yeah. I think we'll probably do it annually, like 2025
Do you have to do a
to 26.
signature every year, like for liability, or is it like in perpetuity of liability?
Sort of.
And then just more information.
Here's a question about
Yeah.
this going out by yourself, pruning
Yeah.
these trees that you're finding. What do you do with the tree parts that you cut off, the
Yeah, that's
branches
a
and sticks
great
and all
question.
that?
I would say if if it's a lot, we can arrange for it to be picked up, and then we can put it in, yeah, the mulch yard that we have out back. If it's a smaller amount, I don't know. I guess it really depends, like what's easier for you. Like if you happen to have a yard waste bin, that works. You can also, I mean, if it's a street tree, don't leave it. But you can also, yeah, like Julie's saying, just take it back, put it in a random wooded area.
Maybe I just take my bin with me when I'm just out in my block neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would work, but I think we probably do need a better process for that. I don't know that we
Yeah.
have one right now.
It'd be really nice to like tell you where this pile of sticks is.
Yeah,
It's gonna
yeah.
stay there, or somebody's
Yeah.
gonna be really angry.
And I think that's another thing when people report like what they have done, then they can just tell us like, okay, there's a debris pile here, and then we would just ask you like, don't put it in the way of like a sidewalk or a path or something else, and then we can come collect it. That's at least the process for the litter sweeps, but I don't know that we have a set in stone thing for this kind of event, but that is something to figure out.
Durham One Call is kind of like the go-to. I know we've had issues with people cut a bunch of like their backyard waste and bring it to the front and want us to take it away. Like there's like, I guess it's a limit, like, you know, a little bit of stuff, like what can go in your yard bin, and then there's been people who did a lot, and that's been problematic. So I agree, it would be a bad idea, especially if it's people like through the program that have kind of a better way. That Durham One Calls was the easy way. That can go to urban forestry, and you can kind of put in a request, a service request.
Yeah, and I take back what I said about putting it in a random wooded area. That's not bad, I guess. Okay, that's weird. So these are some resources you can go to for more information. Also passing around is some flyers, so feel free to take one. Or like there's 3 different things, but that includes like the tree species that the city would be planting. And there are more coming. And then just like some information that this first one goes to our Keep Durham Beautiful website on the benefits of trees, and specifically in Durham, like they've been calculated or estimated to have a certain like monetary monetary value and ecosystem services, basically like what they do for us or for the ecosystem. And then requesting a tree, like Craig said, you can request one on the right of way near you, and so that's a form that goes to the Urban Forestry Division website. This is the tree giveaway interest form. And also the North Carolina Extension has so much great stuff, and I always refer to their website for anytime I want to look up a tree and something particular about it.
Are the trees you can request the same trees that are planted?
Some of them, actually, I don't think there's that much overlap because we do different orders. And yeah, so it'll vary by year. I think this year there isn't as much overlap between those two sets, but we'll have another like informational like page or one pager or something about the trees that are able to be given away. Yeah, so if you are interested, you can scan that to go to that quick survey, and then if you are interested as well in subscribing to our newsletter, there's a lot of great information in there. It goes out twice a month, and it's stuff that we host or organize, but also has a lot of things that other organizations in the environmental world are putting on, or just like PSAs about things like birds are migrating south and you may not want to keep your lights on at night, kind of thing. But yeah, that is pretty much it. So, thank you for having us here. It's been really nice to be able to partner with the county extension and do all this stuff. And then this is my and Craig's emails, and we're always here to talk more if you are interested and want to get more involved or just have some questions.
It's also our debut tree planting.
Oh yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the first week.
Yeah, this was my first day. Keep Durham.
It's a really hot day to go out and plant some trees in very fun rocky soil.
Yeah, Tanya was like, "Don't worry, we won't be doing any field work your first day." I was like, "Okay, I guess." Well, it was pretty good though.
Oh, my forehead's so shiny. It's just
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the middle is Izzy. That was our tree care intern / conservation corps person for the last year and a half-ish. Cool. So yeah, that's all I have.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.